Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Breakfast Daily right here on Citi TV, and we're coming to you live on your screens. All right, now it's time for us to jump into our community development story. And, Kweku, what's that story that
Well, I mean, the first one we're looking at is some schools in Talensi, a particular school, St. Joseph's in Talensi. It's a primary school. The heavy rains came and has ripped off some of their roofs, and the children are actually exposed to the elements, you know, so rain, sunshine, whatever is happening, they're exposed, and there's actually a cry out for help, to cover their roofs, the buildings, re-roof their buildings, and to give them some shelter, so that they can, function as
sadly,
normal.
we are still in the rainy season.
Well, you see, the thing is that in the rainy season in the south is different from rainy season in the north.
You told me
it's
that
not the
one
same
time,
thing.
yeah.
So think about it like this. So it's like we have Ghana south to north.
Right.
South to north, right? So the rain starts, it goes up north, then it comes back down south. So you have the first set of rains from, let's say, March, April, May. No, let me rather start April, May, June.
Right.
Okay, rains in the south. Then it moves up north, and then it rains for 4 months in the north. One belt of rain, one bank of rains in the 4 months. Then it comes back down south for October, November rains before the Harmattan.
Right,
that's how it works.
Right.
So yes, we have a report for you. This is by our colleague Fred Awuni. Let's take a look at this report. We'll come back and then we'll get into a conversation.
The Kari St. Joseph Primary School was built in 1951 by the Catholics to expand the access of education to rural communities. Since then, the school has never received any major maintenance and as a result became a threat to pupils. However, on March 21, 2023, a heavy rainstorm destroyed the entire school, compelling the Talensi District Education Directorate to order pupils to stay home till the reopening of the second term. Pupils who reported to school on the reopening day of the second term expressed worry at the absence of classrooms for their studies.
Our school the roofing has removed, and we want the government to repair our school. We are not in class because the roofing has removed. If we enter, the sun will reach us. We will not learn. We will not get a place to sit and learn.
Our school are spoiled, and we want the government to come and repair and build a new school for us. To come and learn and read, to write. It's because of the rain and the wind. That's why the school has spoiled.
Our school things have removed, so we cannot come here and be sitting outside and learn. So we need the government to help us to build our schools so that we can sit and learn.
Prior to the heavy storm, a contract for the construction of a 3-unit classroom block for the school was awarded to a contractor in 2019 under the National Development Authority, but works on the project stalled since 2019. Assembly member for Gwigo Kari electoral area, Richard Yimbild, said if the NDA classroom block was completed, the situation would have had minimal impact on academic work.
We have to close down the school for them to go as we think of how we plan for remedy to save them. I find myself in a difficult situation because you see behind me there is an abandoned structure that was supposed to be built. And this project was since 2019. And if this project were to be in good shape, I don't think that we have been ourselves in this situation. Because if we were to find ourselves in this situation by the roofing of this classroom, we would have had an easier way of bringing the students to this place so that they will find themselves comfortable. But this is a 3-classroom block. That would have been a nice solution for us. I don't know. Is it because of money that they haven't paid to the contractor or what? But the project, and you can see the blocks have been falling off. They have been falling off. Fortunately, today, the assembly have given us a 3-classroom block, promising that within some few weeks to be in good shape for the students to move in. But today we have held a meeting with the Directorate of the Ghana Education Service that have agreed that we should have certain internal arrangement with the GSS, who are serving about 7 classrooms, so they can release some to the primary school so they will stay in to have learning going on. And I think this is a situation that, as a Assemblyman, I will make sure that it is done to solve future occurrences.
But the Talensi District Chief Executive, Thomas Woni, has been explaining to Citi News what accounted for the stalled 3-unit classroom block awarded under the NDA for the school.
It's a project that was awarded, and it's a contract under NDA. We do not have too much influence on it. But when this thing started, I invited the contractor to ask him why he couldn't continue. And he explained that he had sent a certificate, and I think about 100,000, and he was waiting for payment to continue. I've spoken to NDA, and I'm negotiating with them to be fast in trying to settle the contractor so that we can pull him back to us. That's why we're not doing this.
However, the Talensi Directorate of the Ghana Education Service visited the affected school and lobbied for temporary classrooms from the St. Joseph Junior High School for pupils of the primary school. Samuel Azuri is Public Relations Officer for the Talensi Directorate of the Ghana Education Service.
We have taken a decision that the junior high school give or release 2 classrooms to the primary. They will be using the KG block that can house about 3. And now one of the blocks is somehow better. We are thinking of bringing the carpenter to see whether they will roof those buildings. That part, there are about 2 buildings, and see whether they could be used for the meantime. But we came here, when we came, we saw the DCE with some of his entourage. And they said they have begun putting in a 3-unit classroom block with office for the primary school. So that is the decision we have reached at today. And that is what I think we have seen when we came here, what the Assembly has also done. In terms of people-teacher ratio or the classroom people ratio, it will not be very safe for us. But in terms of safety, because they are moving into the junior high school structure, which is a bit safe, the KG structure is also relatively safer. So I think for now, not asking them to stay home, but asking them to partner with the junior high school for now is safer.
In finding a lasting solution to the situation, the Talensi District Assembly has awarded a contract for the construction of a 3-unit classroom block to help address the situation. Talensi District Chief Executive Thomas Woni has been speaking to Citi News.
What we have sought to do is to get a contractor capable of starting a 3-classroom block and completing it in good time. And what do I mean by good time? We are looking at being able to take that building up to the routine level before the rains will start in full strength. Once that happens, and we do temporary arrangements for the pupils to be in the junior school, then they can have time, even if there's a need to house them inside the uncompleted building. Teaching and learning can still be going on whilst they put the fittings.
The Talensi Directorates of the Ghana Education Service here in the Talensi District has intervened and negotiated with the St. Joseph Junior High School for 3 classrooms for the affected pupils of the Kari St. Joseph Primary School to use in the meantime for teaching and learning, whilst the District Assembly expedites action on the construction of a new 3-unit classroom block to house these affected pupils.
All right, so that's the report there by our colleague Frederick Awuni. This situation, it's a tough one because, you know, you have schools that are in competition with other schools in Ghana, right? You know, these kids are left at the mercy. What I don't understand is they are left at the mercy of the elements, you know. The challenge we're facing, and as the Assemblyman was saying on the video in the report, was that is it an issue of finances or not?
Which I think he should know.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's discussed at that level. But you see what the DCE said. It's a it was a Northern Development Authority project, you know, so they don't have control over it necessarily. But we've been joined by the Assembly member, Richard Nyimbil. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Thank you very much. And good morning to you there.
Yeah, so talk to us a bit about how long this situation has been. I know that the recent rains was just in March, that ripped off the roof that we're seeing. But in terms of the infrastructure challenges generally, how long have you known this problem to be?
Thank you very much. And let me say good morning to your listeners. In fact, this building that we are having is one of the oldest structures that we can talk of in the district. It was built by some white Catholic priests since 1951.
Okay.
So it is that old. And this issue of rainstorm ripping off this building has been occurring since time immemorial. I'm a school student here. It has, as of 1986, there was a rip-off here. We have been experiencing it.
Okay.
So the building itself is a weak building, not good for or safe for children to sit under to learn. And that has been the cry for the community since we noticed it.
So Richard, you're saying that apart from the roof that has been built, has been ripped off, even the building itself is unsafe.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Okay. And I noticed in the report that there are some buildings in the background there which look pretty solid in the background of the report with some very nice roofing at the back as well. What sort of community is where this school is located? I want to try and understand what sort of community are we in?
In fact, this school is situated in Kari.
Okay. Is it a farming community? Is it?
It is purely a farming community.
Okay.
That consists of women that do in petty trading.
Okay.
So this is the community that we have. So most of the parents of the students are farmers, and some women engage in petty trading. That tabletop selling and all that.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So as far as you're concerned, when you know the issue of the ripped roof, and then we can't find money to repair this, and then also there's a building that we noticed is under construction, and it seems to have stalled. What's going on with that? What do you know about that story, or that situation?
Thank you very much for mentioning this building. In fact, this building was awarded to the school since 2019. It was, and it's still a project from the NDA, that's Northern Development Authority.
Okay.
Which was expected to be completed and handed over early 2020, the first quarter of 2020. Unfortunately, so that from the day that the contractor started, it pulled the building up to a certain level, and that has been it till now. So you see that most of the blocks and the walls have been broken again, and this is how the building has been with us since then. Let me be sincere with you that if this building were to be completed as scheduled, this issue of raping of the school and the children not finding a place for us to come and have an assessment for them wouldn't have been an issue today. You have seen that beside that school, there's another 3 classroom block that was really partly affected by the windstorm.
Yeah.
That one was also given to us by the district assembly.
Okay.
Because they have realized that the issue of windstorm rape of the school is an recurrent situation. So at least they need to find a solution to it. Because the structure that is housing the students is a weak one. And we can't wait to experience a time bomb where we say it has collapsed on children and probably my child will be affected and somebody else's child will be affected. So we agree with the assembly and they gave us the 3 classroom blocks. Then the assembly also has contact with the NDA to give us this 3 classroom blocks that will complement the full stream of the primary school, primary 1 to primary 6.
Okay. Mr. Richard, how is the disruption of the academic work of this school actually affecting the parents and the wider community as a whole?
Thank you very much. The incident occurred on the 21st of March of this year. And, you know, schools were supposed to go for break on 24th. The school were forced to close down on the 21st of the March, 2022. Parents have to come in to find a way of which they can let these children be back in school. They're worried. 2, anxiety is creeping in because most of the parents seeing the cracks on the wall are not even safe to allow their children to come back to the school. So it is an issue that we have to allay the fears of the parents because on the opening day of this academic calendar, the district director of education and her 4 front runners, the district chief executive and the 4 runners and myself and the PTA executives were all here to find a way to make sure that the children have a place to sit and learning continues.
Right.
That's how far we have gone with this.
Do you yourself have any children in the school?
Yes, I have a child in the school.
Okay. And as a parent, when you see the way the buildings are standing precariously, how does it make you feel?
No, I'm not happy to see my child sitting inside this building. I'm not happy.
Yeah.
And that is why, as of now, from the time that your officer came here for this video, I'm sure when he comes back today, he will see a different development again.
Right.
The new, that old structure, we have virtually condemned it. We are removing all the roofings and make sure that no child goes inside. With the SOCO project that has been awarded to us. And currently, contract is on site and is working seriously to make sure that we have a new 3 classroom block. So thanks to SOCO and the district chief executive for this timely intervention.
When you say awarded to us, are you talking about the district assembly?
Yes, it was about the district. It's a project in the district.
Okay.
The SOCO is a district project.
Okay.
But when they came, they saw the need of this school, the St. Joseph Primary School, to get an immediate intervention to solve this problem.
Yeah. So how many classroom? How many? What sort of classroom block are they building?
Yes, they are giving us a 3 classroom block.
3 classroom block. Okay.
A 3 classroom block with a staff command room, a storeroom, and a headmaster's office.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Richard Yimbill. He
Thank
is
you.
an assembly member for the Kari electoral area, and all hope is not lost. It's just that this building has been around since the 50s or 60s, and nothing has been done, and it's deteriorated over time. So really, it's high time. In fact, that whole structure needs to be pulled down.
Exactly.
But,
it's actually very scary.
But at least, you saw they were cutting the foundation for a structure there. It looks like that's the one he was referring to. that a project has begun, a 3-classroom block with a staff common room and so on. And so hopefully that will be up soon, you know, and then they can completely abandon the other one and pull it down.
I actually understand that, but you know, obviously, earlier in the report, he said he didn't know if it was an issue of money and stuff like that. And yes, we're expecting the government to do something about it, but then also I'm thinking, how can the community help? Because if we're expecting the government to help and it's not, you know, and we're not getting the swift response that we want, I'm just imagining how can the community actually help?
Well, I mean, in many ways, the difficulty is these farming communities, but these are not like, you know, large-scale farmers. These are subsistence farmers. You know, they are farming to take care of family. You know, they are not farming to, you know, export or you know. So means is not something that comes
dicey,
easily. You know, for them. So definitely the authorities, the NDA, there's a Northern Development Authority, the district. And he mentioned that there's been some kind of intervention, you know. So, as anybody who knows this area and anybody who is, you know, comes from this area, you can look at this school as a project that is worth investing in, especially if you have been blessed and become a person of means. But we've been joined by the DCE, Thomas Awuni, for Talensi District. Honorable, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Thank you.
Now, in the report, you make mention of the fact that the NDA were the ones that initiated the project that seems to have stalled and that you didn't have much control over that. Can you please explain a little further?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good morning to your listeners. Yeah, what it meant is these contracts were awarded by the Northern Development Authority, and it was a 3-classroom block. But what happened was, I think after they raised their first certificate, they didn't get payment for it. They are still chasing up to be paid. And since then, contractor hasn't been back to site. And so that building is not complete. This was started, I think, in 2020. And ideally, if the contractor had enough cash or if NDA was paying regularly, I'm sure that block would have been ready and would have been contending adding just a 3-classroom block to the school.
Yeah, but I also understand that a new project has been initiated there, and they are building a different project, a 3-classroom block with staff common room, etc. Can you throw a bit more light on that one?
Yes, that school is a 6-classroom block, primary school.
Okay, 6-classroom block.
It's an old school. It dates back to the late 60s.
Okay. Okay, so the original building. Okay.
The original building. Okay. So what we envisaged was a replacement of that school.
Okay.
So when we got the NDA 3-classroom block, we gave it to that place with the hope that one day we would have another project that will add a 3-classroom block, because the old block was becoming unusable.
Yeah.
So once the block is gone, we could only be adding the other 3-classroom block that we anticipated doing some other time, so that we will pursue NDA to come to our aid, at least to re-engage the contractor to get back to it. So that is why we are doing the other 3-classroom block.
Okay. And in terms of funding, are you good to go to the end?
Come again?
In terms of funding, I mean, are you good to go to the end? I mean,
we are good to go. We have had an understanding with the contractor, and we have done those arrangements with him, and he would complete that school block before we start to pay him.
Okay.
All right, so I just wanted to ask, so how does the district assembly plan to ensure that academic work is not disrupted?
Well, in working with the District Directorate of Education, there has been an arrangement. We have a JHS block there that has a spare or so classroom. Then we made the engineer to look at the old blocks that are there, the one that looks better, and they have put some roof on it. So for academic work to continue, yes, that is good to go. We are having academic work going on, and I don't think the disruptions are much.
Right. And also, I don't know if you also watched the reports, this report, but then how does it make you feel to see the children appealing, you know, to the government to come to their aid?
Well, this is not strange. If I were a student, I would have done same, because my place of learning is ripped off. But we had foreseen this, and that is why we have planned ahead of time to change that school. So I'm sure their aid will surely come to them, and that is exactly what we're doing. I mean, it's moving, but it shows that we have planned. If we didn't, we wouldn't even have the 3 classroom blocks that are stalled in the first place. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Thank you very much for speaking to us. And that was Honorable Thomas Awuni, the DCE for Talensi District. Yeah, so it looks like there are a number of things happening. So the Northern Development Authority, of course, under the special initiatives, you know, ministry, is coming up with the projects that it's doing around the country, around in the northern parts, right? So there's that.
Right.
Then there's a district itself that's also looking to solve problems within the district, you know. But I do think that ASAP, that building, the old one, needs to be pulled down.
I know.
Yeah, it's not, you know, it's the kind of thing where you look at it and say, listen, even if it means we have to close school for a month, you know, it may be difficult. We have to find alternative means.
I think there also needs to be a way of collaborating with the Ministry of Education, because at this point, yes, their education will be stalled. And like you said earlier in the beginning...
Or move their kids to maybe another school, you know, temporarily or something. Because honestly, that building there, if it collapses with children in it, it will be a problem. It will be a different conversation.
It will be a disaster. Let's not even think of it.
No, it will be a different conversation. And that building looks like it's close to collapsing.
It is.
You know, so I hope that the authorities quickly jump on it and make sure that we don't have a disaster on our hands.